Miss Ying Ning, or, The Laughing Girl Part 1. At Lotian, in the province of Shantung, there lived a youth named Wang Tzifu, who had been left an orphan when quite young. He was a clever boy, and took his bachelor's degree at the age of 14. Being quite his mother's pet, and not allowed by her to stray far away from home. One young lady too, whom he had been betrothed having unhappily died, he was still in search of a wife when, on the occasion of the Feast of Lanterns, his cousin Wu asked him to come along for a stroll. But they had hardly got beyond the village before one of his uncle's servants caught them up and told Wu he was wanted. The latter accordingly went back, but Wang, seeing plenty of nice girls about and being in high spirits himself, proceeded on alone. Amongst others, he noticed a young lady with her maid. She had just picked a sprig of plum blossom, and was the prettiest girl he had ever heard of, a perfect bunch of smiles. He stared and stared at her quite regardless of appearances, and when she had passed by, she said to her maid, "That young fellow has a wicked look in his eyes." As she was walking away, laughing and talking, the flower dropped out of her hand, and Wang, picking it up, stood there disconsolate as if he had lost his wits. He then went home in a very melancholy mood, and, putting the flower under his pillow, lay down to sleep. He would neither talk nor eat, and his mother became very anxious about him, and called in the aid of the priests. By degrees, he fell off in flesh and got very thin, and the doctor felt his pulse and gave him medicines to bring out the disease. Occasionally, he seemed bewildered in his mind, but in spite of all his mother's inquiries would give no clue as to the cause of his malady. One day, when his cousin Wu came to the house, Wang's mother told him to try and find out what was the matter. And the former, approaching the bed, gradually and quietly led up to the point in question. Wang, who had wept bitterly at the sight of his cousin, now repeated to him the whole story, begging him to lend some assistance in the matter. "How foolish you are, cousin," cried Wu, "there will be no difficulty at all. I'll make inquiries for you. The girl herself can't belong to a very aristocratic family to be walking alone in the country. If she's not already engaged, I have no doubt we can arrange the affair, and even if she is unwilling, an extra outlay will easily bring her round. You make haste and get well, I'll see to it all." Wang's features relaxed when he heard these words, and Wu left him to tell his mother how the case stood, immediately setting on foot inquiries as to the whereabouts of the girl. All his efforts, however, proved fruitless, to the great disappointment of Wang's mother, for since his cousin's visit Wang's color and appetite had returned. In a few days Wu called again, and in answer to Wang's questions falsely told him that the affair was settled. "Who do you think the young lady is?" said he. "Why, a cousin of ours, who is only waiting to be betrothed, and though you two are a little near, I dare say the circumstances of the case will be allowed to overrule this objection." Wang was overjoyed, and asked where she lived. So Wu had to tell another lie, and say, "On the southwest hills, about 10 miles from here." Wang begged him again and again to do his best for him, and Wu undertook to get the betrothal satisfactorily arranged. He then took leave of his cousin, who from this moment was rapidly restored to health. Wang drew the flower from underneath his pillow, and found that, though dried up, the leaves had not fallen away. He often sat playing with this flower and thinking of the young lady, but by and by, as Wu did not reappear, he wrote a letter and asked him to come. Wu pleaded other engagements, being unwilling to go, at which Wang got in a rage and quite lost his good spirits, so that his mother, fearing a relapse, proposed to him a speedy betrothal in another quarter. Wang shook his head at this, and sat day after day waiting for Wu, until his patience was thoroughly exhausted. He then reflected that 10 miles was no great distance, and that there was no particular reason for asking anybody's aid, so, concealing the flower in his sleeve, he went off in a huff by himself without letting it be known. Having no opportunity of asking the way, he made straight for the hills, and after about 10 miles walking found himself right in the midst of them. Enjoying their exquisite verdure, but meeting no one, and with nothing better than mountain paths to guide him. Away down in the valley below, almost buried under a densely luxuriant growth of trees and flowers, he espied a small hamlet, and began to descend the hill and make his way thither. He found very few houses, and all built of rushes, but otherwise pleasant enough to look at. Before the door of one, which stood at the northern end of the village, were a number of graceful willow trees, and inside the wall plenty of peach and apricot trees, with tufts of bamboo between them, and birds chirping on the branches.